I'm talking to you today because I want to hear about your recent visit to the occupied West Bank. We've seen, just from social media, incredible levels of violence there. But I know it's something entirely different, I imagine, when you see it in person.
Well, I've been traveling, on and off to West Bank for, 20 years or more. Um, and something it's entered a new dimension of horror and danger for the Palestinian population. It's, I mean, the settlers, the settlers are no, have turned into a kind of fascist militia. They go from village to village, driving people out of their communities. They've got guns. They're violent. I mean, the nightmare which is faced, you're living in a small community and suddenly the settlement appears on the hill overlooking you, maybe a couple of miles away. They'll come down, they'll start stealing your livestock, they'll start beating you up if you try and go to your olive groves or your farmland. They'll smash up your equipment. And then maybe another settlement will develop a little bit closer, and then they'll come in, they'll go through your house. If you try and defend yourself, the police or the IDF will arrive and beat you up and arrest you. That is the situation now. And then eventually you're driven off your land. I think it's 80 communities now since October the 7th have gone. This is ethnic cleansing on a very rapid scale. At the same time, Smotrich, the administrator of the West Bank, is driving forward the E1 project. He's splitting the place up, and this is some of the footage is just beyond belief. Something's changed.
You use very deliberate terms. You speak of organized militias and ministerial policy from Smotrich and words such as ethnic cleansing. In international media, we often see this described as kind of a handful of extremist settlers or, young and irresponsible, ultra-religious Israelis. I wonder then why you think this narrative endures of individual criminality and why you would say instead that actually this is systemic, this is state-directed policy and one of mass displacement. And if you would argue in your case why you think that's correct.
What has happened is that this is state-sponsored. It's a deliberate plan. I went with Lubna Musawa and I, our bureau chief in Jerusalem. We went to Taipei to look at, the attacks on the village, which is a Christian community. But we just happened to meet a Bedouin, and that wasn't why we were there. And he was at the bottom of the hill, and he told us, 2 weeks ago, 40 settlers had come into his house. They'd beaten him unconscious. We woke up, they were beating his wife, and then they were rampaging through his tents. They were taking everything he got, all, including they'd ripped out of his sofa where it was hidden, the cash he used for his daily capital. So, and then they'd stolen his 80 sheep. Now, that's the destruction of his life, and his little grandchild, 7 years old, I should think, was listening as he told us about all of this. And I didn't want to ask the grandchild what he was thinking, but he was sitting impassively listening to his grandfather describe this. Now, that wasn't reported anywhere. The point is, this is an extraordinary assault on an ancient, an old man and his family and his clan. Not reported anywhere. We just came across it by accident because this is going on all the time. It's deliberate. And then we walked up to the top of the village and we could look across. Taipei is more or less in northwest West Bank, and you can look across from it over the hills, these beautiful hills, to the Jordan Valley and beyond into Jordan, and that area, since time immemorial, has been home to the Bedouin, the villagers. It's been swept clean.
I wonder
This is
then.
deliberate ethnic cleansing, all on the instructions of the Israeli state, but using these youngsters, these hilltop youth, clearly to do it. They're supplied with guns, they're given money, and they're given the protection of the army, which makes them invulnerable. And if you fight back at them, you're quite likely to get killed.
That's, as you say, that's extreme violence, and it's shocking, and it's happening, as you say, it's ongoing all the time, and you just happen to encounter that particular story because you were there. So as this violence is ongoing, and it's, as you say, having a real effect, it's forcing Palestinians to flee. How does that measure up against, Trump may say, oh, we won't allow Israel to annex the West Bank. But in practice, when you have this happening, I wonder, can anything stop it? People talk about, oh, well, the Arab and Muslim states will lobby to make sure that Israel doesn't annex the West Bank. But if this is kind of going on, this slow motion process, regardless, I wonder what real leverage is there to stop it, if any?
Look, the US president made these statements, which were repeated in the press as if they meant something. I will not permit the annexation of the West Bank. That's absolute rubbish. It's going on in front of us. It's not going slowly, by the way, anymore. It was a long, slow-ish process. Now it's a rapid. And Smotrich is overseeing it. He's determined to get it done, really, I think, in effect, by the elections in a year or so's time. That's the program. The Bedouins being driven off their land. Where do they end up? In sort of rubbish dumps, basically. They live in really horrible places. They're going to end up. There's sort of scraps of land which are used for public dumps. It's kind of horrific. And and then you say, what about the international community? Nothing. Now you've got to we're British, so let's have a look at Britain. It's of course you get these sort of dulcet tones, condemnation, routine condemnations, but to confront it, you have to have it isn't words anymore. You've got to address the crimes which are being committed under international law. Let's not forget, and this is absolutely critical, that in July last year, wasn't it, the midsummer, the International Court of Justice, the highest court in the world, declared the whole Israeli occupation of the occupied territory illegal, and said that all nations, member states of the UN, had an obligation to bring it to an end, and it gave a deadline of which I think the deadline was this September to take action. Of course, Britain's not even bothered to respond. The Starmer government hasn't even. It said it was going to respond and hasn't, because it's very difficult, because that way you're going to upset Netanyahu, you're going to upset Trump. That makes Britain complicit. I'm writing a piece for Middle East Eye at the moment, which will set this out in some detail.